Actually, when that round of death threats came out, the Proud Boys said they were going to actually burn me alive, like the witch that I am.
Wow.
Which was very thrilling and kind of made me a little horny, actually.
Wow.
Twin Temple's infamous for their unique brand of 60s-inspired satanic doo-wop, and they're promising that their shows they're doing right now are their most blasphemous rituals and most evil tour yet. And since those are pretty big promises, I needed to see this for myself. So we're here at the Gothic Theater in Denver, where I'm not just going to see it. I want to know exactly how they're pulling this off. And I'm hoping this becomes a spiritual experience. Maybe I'll even get baptized. So let's go inside and check it out.
In the forest, the dead of night, the full moon is the only light. The magic circle up start to sway. All the pretty witches have been out to play. Come to be savage, take a ride on my broom, and make it under the moon. Maybe we'll make love to you.
So you guys are promoting this as the most blasphemous tour yet, the most evil tour yet.
Yes.
Big promises from a band that is known for being the most blasphemous satanic doo-wop band I've ever seen. So what exactly is different that you've added to your show now that is stepping it up to this level?
Yeah.
I mean, we want to be better than church.
Absolutely. and yeah, why just sit when you could be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I do think too that, I mean, in this modern day, we're so, it's so lacking like magic and ritual. I mean, back in the day, ritual really served to like demarcate these moments in our lives, and ritual kind of helps us transcend the mundane. And I really feel that as humans, we need that, like to thrive and to fully like live. We actually need like these transcendent moments of kind of like, you know, overcoming just mundane life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, humans are
there's-
meant to transcend.
There's something to be said about like the way that your show is such an occasion and it means so much to people.
Yes.
What you represent as a band is so important to the people who come to your shows. So for them to really have these rituals is something that they can take with them and know that they're leaving the show changed in some way is really wonderful, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's one thing that we found with like magic and ritual that, you know, enriches like our, you know, lives. So it's something that we want to share with people as well. And I also think that, you know, in terms of like gathering communities together, I mean, music has always been that thing, right? That joins us around the fire, that primal thing that we gather around, that we move to, that connects us. And so I feel like, you know, where do the weirdos like us go to have this magical transcendent moment? You know, I feel like that's something that, you know, church does for, and if that works for you and that resonates with you, that's amazing. But you know, a lot of people don't feel welcome in those spaces and don't get to have those kinds of experiences because of who they are or you know, whatever. So I feel like we want to provide this you know, amazing community like experience where we can kind of just all come together and connect. And honestly, I mean, the way I see it, it's, yes, I love performing, but what I really love doing is creating something for them. Like to me, it's more about them, like what they experience versus, you know, what I experience. I just want them to, you know, have an amazing time and have fun and just I don't know, let loose and forget about whatever is bothering them. I mean, that's why I love going to concerts, you know?
So obviously there's a lot going on in this show. So how many people are involved in the crew to make this happen?
Our traveling crew is myself. We got an LD / I call him production manager, Christian. Audio Malta, VIPs, photographer, Maurice, and then Andrew, who is our merch rep out here. And everyone multitasks, everyone helps each other out. We all make it work. We do a lot. I think this crew especially goes above and beyond in their departments and helping each other out and playing multiple roles.
Would you say that's kind of an important part when it comes to both just touring and putting on shows in general? Like,
Oh, yeah.
being able to step up like that.
I feel like if you don't, I mean, personally, in my opinion, you're not going to get very far. Like, if you're not like a good working family and got that like strength to help each other, I don't know how you would succeed. So this crew's really good at multitasking and helping each other out. And if you need something on stage and you're in front of house, or if I'm in the dressing room and need something from the bus or the trailer, we help each other out.
Go down with demons from hell. Ooh, just like that. You're under my spell. The Sabbath, to the Sabbath, to the Sabbath with me. Let's have a Satanic, let's have a Satanic.
All right, Chris, I feel like you are the man of the hour to be talking to when it comes to all the secrets of the live show. You're doing lighting, directing, front of house. So what does your job entail exactly?
Yeah, my name is Christian David. I'm the lighting designer on this tour for the band Twin Temple. I came up with the ideas about the stage design and presented it to the band, and that's what you see all tonight, maybe.
Maybe.
So, maybe, if everything works out fine.
Yeah, so in terms of stage design, can you walk me through the things that you did do?
Yeah, basically what I do is like I take the cover artwork, I take the artwork that is around the band, and then I think about over all these aspects that like come up to my mind. What's their kind of overall vision with this? Mm-hmm. So, and for sure we had to do crosses because it's satanic. So, and yeah, that's what we ended up with for now.
And you did design the crosses as well. So what was that process like?
I designed those crosses. Basically what I do, I use a lot of CAD softwares to draw stuff. And I draw those ones. And there's a guy called Derek Hadker. Short shout out to him. He's the guy that built it for us. Mm-hmm. And he did a pretty good job. So
I would say so.
Yeah, they look really nice. They're RGB lit up, so they got LED stripes inside. I can control them via my board. And
yes, and that leads me perfectly to also ask you about the lighting, because I think if you're like a fan who doesn't know much about lighting, you just kind of see it and it's so seamless with the show, but there's a lot of intention that goes into designing the lighting, right?
Yeah, the band is like they're really focused on lighting. They want to have the best possibilities for their show, and they want to create an environment where they feel comfortable, and they want to get a show out to the people that is like outstanding.
So how do you decide what the light is going to look like for each song? Because each song has its own energy, right?
At first I start listening to the songs, and then I think a little bit about the mood. Is it a ballad? Is it a fast song? I use a visualization software called Capture. Everything is built up in there so I can see the stage and I can decide. And during the rehearsals, they saw the first, let's say, mock-ups of my show. So the show is pre-programmed, and they could see it. So I had a monitor out there. So we decided, like, hey, maybe there's a song where different mood fits better, so a different color. Now we go with this one.
Yeah, so it's cool to see that it is like such a collaborative process, that the band is also involved in making these decisions along.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's an ongoing process. We're still on it. So
wow. So even this late in the tour, there's only 2 shows left for this tour, and there's still evolution happening.
Absolutely, improvement every day. Make it better, make it more stable, get it like more Twin Temple in it.
What you are, be a slut, do whatever you want. I got a graveyard bed, 'cause I'm always lying down. I cast a spell when I come around. I wear the devil's crown, take off my velvet gown, ride a 7-headed beast into town. Be a slut, what you are.
But I feel like after the whole like backlash and death threats and being on Alex Jones, it sort of crystallized us into like wanting to just double down on the things that they were kind of like mad and getting horny over. Yeah. So album 2 is kind of like, I think that's the mood. I think it's very romantic. I would say, but it's also very blasphemous.
And there was a new ritual, which again was partially inspired by the claims that we steal aborted fetuses from abortion clinics and use their blood.
Or the other claim that was made was that we steal babies and drain their blood, and that the blood you see on stage is not actually fake or whatever, or from animals or whatever, but it's a baby's blood.
Which I suppose these rumors gave you some really good ideas.
They
more
gave
than
us
anything.
great ideas, because I'm like, if that's what they're fantasizing about, then honey, will serve that fantasy.
Deliver.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I love that. So are there any other rumors that you're like, ooh, maybe we could do something with this next?
I mean, always.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's the burning. We want to burn at the stake on stage, you know. I know there's people who would like to see us burned, so.
Actually, when that round of death threats came out, the Proud Boys said they were going to actually burn me alive, like the witch that I am.
Wow.
Which was very thrilling and kind of made me a little horny, actually.
Oh, a little hot and spicy, literally.
Yeah, it was very, they were serving some pretty elaborate fantasies, and so, you know, we're here to deliver.
I love it. Always. You never let me down.
So something really crazy has just happened. We were inside of the venue watching Twin Temple soundcheck. First of all, they sound amazing. And we looked out the window and noticed there are protesters outside. And we've been told by the crew that this has been a regular occurrence throughout the tour. So I'm going to try my best, see if we could talk to them. But more than anything, you should just know that there are protesters at these Twin Temple shows. Now. We're going to tell them I'm a local journalist, that I have no affiliation with Twin Temple, no affiliation with KNOTFEST, and see if they'll talk to me. Hi, y'all. How's it going? I'm a local journalist in the area. Can I talk to some of you all about the protests you're doing today?
Why don't you talk to that guy in the black hat right down there?
Black hat, thank you.
Maybe.
Lead all souls to heaven.
Hi there, sir. I'm a local journalist here in Denver. I just wanted to talk to you all. I'm with a music publication in the area.
You got a card?
I don't have a card on me. We're an online publication. No? I understand. Thank you. So I just went up to the protesters to try to talk to them, and they asked me if I had a business card, asked me what publication I was with, and then declined me because they're praying. So they're praying for all of us. That's really nice. However, I'm praying for them that they're missing out on some good music.
Okay, so now we are talking about the costumes.
Yes, the ritual garb, if you will.
These were kind of part of our black and red cycle from the first album.
But they were kind of hinting at the new cycle. So these were like a in between.
This was before we announced the record?
This was like right when we did.
So yeah, we've got our like ritual daggers on here.
Yeah, and these are based off the traditional ceremonial magic. This sword here. This is like a real sword that is used in magic. Aleister Crowley had one as well.
Yes.
And these are like little symbols of the sun, and you got the pentagram here, and these two are crescent moons here.
The serpentine blade.
Yeah, the blade. This is also from a ritual called the Great Rite, which we used. No, we haven't. We used to do this ritual at the end of the show, where there's a dagger and a cup uniting, which is again, it's like a male-female thing. So this is like an image kind of the ritual as well that we used to do, and we were still doing on this tour, which we're not anymore.
Yeah. I think my favorite part is, and this was a surprise, Judith, so Rose Cut Clothing, she's based out of LA. She made all of these with us. She added little rhinestones for the boobs.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah.
Just think it's so cute. But yeah, she's got her bone candles. It actually still has some real, there's like painted blood and real blood from the tour. Because I was still spitting blood on that tour.
Yeah, but after the black and red,
yes,
we took a sharp left turn.
Yes.
And we went pink.
We went baby pink.
These were designed they were made by Jerry Atwood at Union Western.
Yes.
We designed them with him, and the artwork was done by Poison Apple.
Yes. In collaboration with her. It's kind of layers, really, but we wanted to kind of illustrate like a satanic orgy. It's one of our favorite images, like those classic images of the Black Mass, like whether in Hexennacht or, horror films. And so we wanted to kind of do our own spin on it. So we told Poison Apple about our vision for this orgiastic evening, and she was thrilled. And so this is based off the artwork that she made. Of course, it has like our signature Baphomet on the back, and
It's got lyrics on here.
yes, the lyrics were kind of inspired by Hank Williams' nudie suit. He's got a music note, nudie suit, which as a kid growing up, I was always like, oh, I want that suit. We had this little idea for the yokes, to the classic Western yoke, to kind of make them into little pitchforks, which I like.
And there's the blood drip in rhinestones. We wanted to do some blood drips. You gotta do that. And on here, it's got all the blood. And then the dress was the last addition.
Yes, the way Zach needs guitars, I sometimes need, to make new costumes. But I kind of had this idea for like a pink Black Widow. And I liked these rhinestones. It was kind of like, I just wanted something flirty and flouncy, and I just kept seeing pink marabou and spider webs. And so I sent Judith like a little
Yeah, that's another rose cut piece.
a little sketch, and then she made this and just knocked it out of the park.
Okay, so beginning of the show, we walk out and we douse the crowd in an unholy water. So this is a real bucket used in church, but we had these. This is a tetragrammaton we added there to the front, so it's like a pentagram and all these symbols on there. Again, you've got the little Baphomet coins.
These are the same as our buttons on our other.
Yeah, on the original black and red suits, we had those on as buttons.
It's the only prop that isn't a stunt double.
Yeah, cool little Easter eggs in there.
But this one's, functional. Everything gets too beat up on the road. This is the only thing that's really survived.
Barely. You got to stay hydrated,
Yeah.
You got to stay hydrated. It's important out here. You got to get your vitamins. And iron and blood is jam-packed with vitamins. So
Virgins is the best.
it's even better, it's fresh.
They're harder to find these days. But I bet across the street there's
Oh, I'm sure those protesters are virgins.
a lot of virgins actually, yeah. So that might be some ripe hunting grounds for later. Yeah.
I don't want to turn to the light. Don't pray for me. Don't waste your time. Don't need no preacher man. Missionary ain't my style. Oh, I want you to set my soul alive. I want you to burn your Bible with me tonight.
Well, Maurice, tour photographer and meet and bleed specialist. For anybody who doesn't know, the importance of a touring photographer, first of all, the content for Twin Temple has been amazing. But what does your job entail, on a day-to-day? Give me the walkthrough.
Day-to-day, well, I would say with regards to concert photography, the first thing I like to do is scope out the venue, see what I'm going to be, different angles and so forth. Because, some of the venues, it's always nice when they have a photo pit, a barricade, but I would say on this tour, a good 70% of them have a photo pit. The others don't. So that's where you got to get creative, look at, where you can get the different types of angles. The one thing I try to avoid, which is not easy, is doing the same thing twice. So that's where you like to take advantage of, let's say, besides being in the photo pit, doing crowd shots, being in the balcony, being on stage, shooting out and seeing the crowd. So that's the one thing I like to do when I first get to the venue, is just scope it out, see where I'm going to be, and then proceed accordingly, because they have so many nice visuals and so forth. So that's how I started, and it ends up, I give them a nice selection of different angles and so forth to pick from at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, they make the call on what they want to use for the content.
Yeah, I mean, you're helping build the world of Twin Temple in so many ways. Have to give you credit for really being a part of that and listening to what they're looking for in that regard. And so do you have a favorite part of the set to film, or favorite, just elements of the stage performance that are most visually exciting for you?
Absolutely. And when it comes down to is especially for the first few shows, I have to get used to the set, know where certain things are going to happen. And I think probably my favorite is when I know certain songs are going to come on and I know that the audience is going to get lit up. That's where I'll let's say, go upstairs, go to the balcony, make sure that once those lights are up, get the whole picture, So that's definitely one of my favorites. Another part is when they sacrifice a baby.
Yes.
It's a little bit much, I guess, for some people, but to me, it's probably my second favorite, or that's one of my favorite parts as well, amongst many others in the set. But
Real
definitely,
babies, obviously.
for sure. We a new one every night.
How do you think the merchandise is enhancing the fans' experience when they come to a show and they walk up to your table and they get so excited about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be in the merch world for like about 10 years now, where I worked with a lot of different bands. I think that people are very excited when they come to the show and they look at the merch for the first time. And I felt that way more on this tour, especially with Twin Temple. People are so excited. Like there's all kinds of buzz online where people are posting photos and videos of the merch booth. So that's why I want to make sure that it's like I'm well represented. The band is well represented, you know. So I think people are generally very excited for merch, and as soon as the doors open, my line starts, and it usually, on this tour, it doesn't stop until Twin Temple goes on, and then it starts to form again, like towards the end of the show and then after the show. So it's pretty busy on this tour for sure.
I mean, they have such iconic designs as well, and it's so synonymous with who they are as a band and their whole identity.
Yeah.
Is there like a particular design or merch product that you think people are going the most crazy for?
Well, the tour shirts are always a big hit. So they have 2 tour shirts on this tour. They're both doing really well. I think the other item that's like doing super well is it's a ladies tank top. The Be a Slut tank top is doing really well. So there's that. And there's a bunch of other items too. Like the Barney Bible lighters are doing really well too. So a lot of stuff. They have a lot of cool merch. You know, I love working for them.
Well, let's talk about this iconic altar.
Oh,
on
yeah.
stage.
Yeah, we've had an altar on stage, I think, since the very first show we ever played, although it was much smaller. We're playing much smaller places.
It has grown.
But
This big.
yeah, it was very
We
small.
only had a dagger on stage because we couldn't put a sword. You know?
Yeah, we've upgraded. It's grown. It's all about size. This is our altar cloth, which we actually had a Masonic temple make for us, which is really cool. It's all custom embroidered. Well, I mean, these are all tools that, you know, you would use in satanic ritual. Like typically you have LeVay called like a sword of power, or it's sort of like similar to a wand, the action. So for banishing or, you know, invocations, you would use a sword. Of course, got the chalice, which is like representation of the divine feminine, contains everything and nothing all at once. And there's usually blood in there that we drink on stage.
And I see these
whatnot.
holy Bibles, and I hear that you rip these up every night, yeah?
So it's really funny. We've been stealing these from the hotels we've been staying.
You've been getting these. Like,
Eddie, our sax player, was just like, hey, there's a Bible in my drawer. Like, should we steal them and like just use them on stage? I was like, yeah. It's like a big celebration, you know, tear up the Bibles. People love catching them.
and the rose, is that for decoration?
So we have a little bit in Satanic Orgy, which is a very romantic song, as you would imagine. So romance calls for roses. We usually throw it out to an audience member after it gets kind of swooshed on Zach, which they love.
And I feel like this is just me always wondering, like, are these real swords? Like, could these legitimately hurt me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to stand back.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask. Like,
Yes,
these are
sometimes
very real.
sometimes fans are like getting really close when the swords are going. I'm like, get cut. The sound people are usually like, when we roll in, are like, a gong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got the backdrop.
Yeah, so yeah, we had this painting custom made, and then we had it just blown up to a backdrop. But we were super inspired by the old Masonic temples and specifically the paintings of the Masonic temples from like the early 1900s, like
We got a little
character.
star hanging down.
Yeah.
The chain there, and you've got a little Lucifer sigil there. hanging
Yeah.
down.
There's lots of little Easter eggs
Yeah.
in there.
I'm not heaven sent. Make me like Christ, make me come again. I always scream for God, baby, when you're in my bed. I want you to set my soul alive. I want you to burn your body.
And I
loved a quote as well that I had read in another article that said, "You're carrying the torch for rock and roll's main traditions, horniness and Satanism." I don't know why I had to read that, like if I don't know. But when it comes to that, there's something to be said about how people can learn more about rock and roll's history, about Satanism, and about who you are as artists when you come when they come to a show. So I feel it could be sort of educational in a way.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely keeping like rock and roll history alive and exposing people to like, you know, all of our influences and references. I don't think there's a whole lot of people, especially in like the more alternative spaces, that are doing that. Yeah, we love, you know, classic American music, and that goes back into the, I don't know, you know, 20s and 30s, you know, and even early blues and all that kind of stuff. And the first recordings ever. And,
like Robert Johnson.
Yeah, Robert Johnson, like Lead Belly, you know, and all that stuff was super evil, you know. And again, Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
So it's like that lineage, that string has been through there the whole time, you know. And I feel like we just we're trying to continue that lineage, you know.
That's the thing. Your music is so true to the era that doo-wop originates. So are all of your guitars kind of an ode to the 60s as well?
They all are. Yeah, they're actually all 59 to 61. They're all reissues because I don't take vintage gear out on the road.
That would be crazy.
But yeah, so this one doesn't come out much either, but I'll show it to you. I've had this since the beginning of the group. This is a 59 reissue Gibson 355, not a 335 as most people think. I love this guitar, you know, like Chuck Berry played this guitar, Keith Richards has this guitar.
The hardware is so beautiful as well.
Thank you. Yeah, everything I have is gold hardware. I'm obsessed with the gold. So this used to be my go-to. I would just use this all the time, but as of late, because as I'll show you, I've got some new ones. It's been hanging back. Okay, next. This is a 61 reissue. This is technically a Les Paul. And again, for those who don't know, maybe people know this, but the first time these came out, they named it the Les Paul, and then Les Paul saw it and he hated it. And he was just like, "What is this? This is terrible." This was Gibson trying to compete with the Fender Strat. But yeah, I love these too. You know, watching Tony Iommi play this, I always thought was super cool. Jimi Hendrix played one for a little bit.
And is that a custom engraving?
This is a custom engraving as well, this Lucifer sigil. I named this one Lucifer.
Hello, Lucifer.
Hello. Moving on to an actual Les Paul. Oh, it's heavy.
So is this the Les Paul that he approved?
This is a 54. This is like, they did the gold top he designed, and then this was the second one he designed. And he made this to look good with like a tuxedo. So this is like the classy Les Paul. Again, you got the gold hardware, Bigsby. And this thing is super heavy. Like, here, can you feel it?
Uh-oh.
Do it.
Oh, yeah, that is very heavy. I could do some bicep curls with that for sure.
Yeah, I work out, you know, in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, just a classic Les Paul. You know, you got to have a Black Beauty in the arsenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this was designed by Bo Diddley in the late 50s with Gretsch. Kind of design. Oh, I've got some blood on here.
Well, you know,
it
that's
happens.
Spirited.
It happens to all my guitars.
Is that your blood or? You know,
that's a good question.
The babies.
I think it looks like the babies because it dried weird. This was designed by Bo Diddley with Gretsch in the late 50s. And he wanted it to look like a Cadillac. So it's kind of based off the cars of the late 50s with all this like sparkle binding and stuff. And again, you got to have the gold, and it's got this Cadillac little triangle here that's like based off the Cadillac logo. This is the newest guitar. So this has been my go-to for like every show. And if I can avoid it, I don't put it down. I just play it all night long because I just love it.
And that's something that I feel like maybe some people have a misconception about with Twin Temples. Like, you have to be some practicing Satanist to be a part of it. But you've spoken about how inclusive your shows are, that literally anybody could be there. Any gender identity, any sexual identity, whatever your religious background is, whether you're a metalhead, a punk, a goth, it doesn't matter.
Look,
you're
even the Christians are welcome, honey.
Have the Christians come out to the
They
shows.
have. We've had some Catholics come out and whatnot. I mean, you know, it's just music.
Yes.
You can dance to it. You can take what you want from it. you know, it's
Yeah.
just meant to like be a good time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does feel good to feel a little naughty.
Of course. And I think that's part of the appeal is like you're getting out of the mundane life or feeling like you have to be censored in some way. And you created a space where I feel like anything goes.
Yes,
at a
absolutely.
Twin Temple show, because you all have been so open about everything in the way that you are, that it's felt people that they could be safe to do the same.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, rock, metal, it's not always the safest space,
Correct.
you know, for different kinds of people. So when people tell us like, hey, you know, I'm queer and I don't really feel safe at a lot of like rock shows, but I know I can come to your show and, you know, we'll be welcome. That honestly means so much to me, you know, because that's something that I didn't necessarily have growing up, you know, like I didn't necessarily know, oh, there's this band coming through and, you know, it's metal or a punk band and I'll be welcome and safe there as a woman of color, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, we've spoken even on She's with the Band about how even as women, like, rock is not always a great place to be. You can go to shows and I would love for just one time to not be asked about my tattoos. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that.
Name 3 songs.
Name 3 songs. And so I know you've also been intentional. Your crew has been so wonderful. Vows is an incredible band. So you've created that in terms of everything in your show. It's not just your music and just the culture and the fans. It's everywhere. Safety, so.
Yeah, definitely. We try to hire, you know, all different kinds of people, and especially like with support bands. Like I love to have like other women of color on the tour. Always, that is a consideration, and people of different sexualities, whatever. However more diverse we can make it, you know, the better. So
and this being the tour that is really promoting God is Dead, the latest album. One thing that was so cool to find out about it is that it was recorded live to tape using vintage equipment as well, right?
Yeah, so this one was a little different. The first record was all live to tape in one day, like with everyone in a room. This record was a bit different. Every take was done live, but it was all done multi-tracked separate, overdubbed, with me and Alex just in a room.
Cool.
Just doing it all because it was just, we wanted to try a different approach and just change it up. Speaking of the record, we've got baritone sax. We've got our player, and he plays tenor sax as well. So he goes back and forth between tenor and bari. I love the baritone sax too. It creates a richness and just like a low end that just no other instrument has. I'm completely addicted to the sound of baritone sax. Yeah, so the pedals. So for the most part, I'm just running straight into the amp. I don't use pedals a lot. Because again, keeping that vintage thing, you know, it's like they didn't use a lot of pedals.
That's a great point.
I don't need a lot of pedals. But when I do, I'm using almost exclusively MXR. You know, they're all Dunlop pedals. Because late 50s, early 60s, they're using basically the effects they had was fuzz. Then they had reverb, obviously. And then they had tape delay, which was, you know, literally 2 reels of tape, one going at slightly different speeds. And that's how you'd create, you know, longer gaps or whatever. Amazing. Like you'll hear like Sun Records, Phil Spector utilized that. And then, you know, like, up until recently, you'd have to have the real 2 reel-to-reels on stage. Like I know, like Mick Ronson, you know, Bowie's guitar player, he'd have 2 huge units, like one as a backup, and just real tape in the back there, just crazy going. So they made an amazing copy that sounds really good, and it's convenient, and I don't have to deal with tape.
Let's have a satanic orgy. What's the matter? You don't like the taste of blood?
One thing that's always been true about your show is that there's fan participation. You know, I remember back in the day, you were doing the satanic baptisms. I was like, what's the word I'm like for? You were doing the satanic baptisms kind of from the stage to the crowd at the time. And now that's something you do in your meet and bleeds. And just throughout the show, it kind of feels like you're a part of it. So how do you feel like that fan interaction makes you stand out from any other artists that are out there?
Well, like you said, I mean, it is an important part for us, you know. We want it to be interactive, you know, as much as possible for sure, and have it feel like a group, you know, a gathering, and it's not just us on stage and them in the crowd or whatnot.
And we can't end this interview without asking about the meet and bleed, which it's not a meet and greet, it's a meet and bleed.
Exactly.
And you are overseeing that because they're doing satanic baptisms.
Yes.
So what is your role in setting that up, and what is that experience like for you too?
Well, actually, a lot goes into that. So, kind of going back to when I mentioned what's one of the first things I do when I get to the venue is like, where can I do a successful meet and bleed? It seems like it'd be somewhat easy, but you need a location where you have enough space. You have enough space for lights without actually like getting in the way of any like people leaving the venue. Also, you don't want to conflict with the merch line. So that would be more like the logistical part, but then. With regard to just the actual meet and bleed, that's it's great because you have the fans that they come to get baptized, a satanic baptism. There's blood involved. There's a satanic baptism, and it's also cool because they're also able to get something signed by the band and actually meet with Alex and Zach, which is fantastic because here they just saw them perform, and now they're at the meet and bleed, and some of these fans, they get overwhelmed. They're like almost crying sometimes, and then to end it, they get a nice vintage Polaroid to end the night. So it's been a great experience, and every night we've had a big line of dedicated fans that come to the meet and bleed. And what we're hoping tonight is that we get to give you a satanic baptism.
I'm ready. I'm not here just for the
Are you
music.
sure?
I'm here for a spiritual experience. I want to be transformed.
Great. All right, we're going to hold you to that.
Deal.
Well, the time has come, the grand finale of the Twin Temple show. We are here for the satanic baptism, and I'm nervous.
You should be, honey.
It's a big deal. So
It's going to be evil.
Are you
Evil.
ready to be initiated?
I am. I'm ready.
Okay.
Come forward.
Here we go. In nomine de nostri Satanas, Luciferi excelsi,
Bless you in the name of Satan.
hail
Hail
Satan.
Satan.
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
I did it. I'm in. Awesome.
Hopefully you feel a little more evil now.
I do.
2, 3. Perfect.
Awesome. Yay, we did it.
I mean, it's such a good show. It's really hard. The end is fun. The end is really fun.
So what's going on at the end then?
You'll have to see. It's a really good ending to the show.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I really enjoy watching the show. I tell anyone who hasn't seen them that you're gonna love it because there's no way you can't love it. This show,
Yeah.
the just everything, the vocals, the costumes, the lighting, everything. And they're just such a great band.
The last ritual, I like to see it as like, when you watch a horror film and the credits are rolling and you think the movie's over and then there's like a surprise twist in the ending.
Yeah.
That's sort of how we envisioned the little
The ending ritual.
ending ritual.
Because God is Dead has a reprise, and during the reprise, there are Bibles torn up and thrown to the crowd. So that's kind of the
It's this
finale.
big celebratory, like we're tearing up the Bibles, it's like confetti, people are catching the pages. It's a very joyous moment,
Then when that closes again, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Is it over or whatnot? But the band's still out there and the lights are still up, and then we go in to the sacrifice.
Yes.
Of course.
And then we end that with the Rosemary's Baby theme song, just as a little Easter egg, just as I like bringing people really far up to this joyous moment and then kind of leaving them maybe a little unsettled.
Just a little puzzled, yeah.
As well. We like to kind of take people through different moods and have like an arc. So
Yeah.
I would say God is Dead is kind of the apex of like the energy, and then
it just gets real weird.
ritual is like I said, that last,
Just leaves you unsettled.
yes.
I love the attention to detail in the storytelling. That's phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
What am I doing? Where our angels are able Oh, when the promise of beauty